So today we're talking about the Brydge keyboard. Now, before we get into the video, I want to say Brydge did send me this keyboard. It's not an ad, they're not paying me to say anything, but they did send it to me to try out, so disclosure. I really love the design of the Brydge keyboard. It's meant to kind of emulate a laptop for an iPad. There's these two hinges that you slide the iPad into, and you can open and close it just like a clamshell, just like a laptop would. This is hands down the best iPad keyboard for working in your lap. I've tried a lot of different iPad keyboards over the years of working off the iPad, and this is by far my favorite one as far as like needing to be out in the world and like strange situations where you don't have a desk. Like I got my desk right here, but if I didn't have a desk, this would be the keyboard I'd want to use. Like working in your lap, this is the best for that. Which is kind of funny to talk about because we've had laptops for so long. Like that's been a solved issue. You'd think that'd be easy to fix with an iPad, but a lot of keyboards just don't quite accommodate that. What makes it so great is because of the hinges. It allows you to open it up and use multiple viewing angles. Viewing angles are important for when you're working on your lap or in different situations because you're not always in the same, directionally like angled at the same area. Situations change, so this way you can open it all the way up, you can have it a little more closed, whichever it needs to be. You can't talk about design in a keyboard and not talk about the typography of the keys. The typography is very simple, very minimalist. I like it personally. It's not over the top, it's not like a gaming keyboard or anything, it's very clean. It's really easy to just pack up and put in your bag and go. You just close it up just like a laptop, slide it in, and take it on the go. It's a bit thicker than what the Smart Connector keyboard is, but that's because, it has a battery and some other stuff that we'll get into later in it. For the most part, it doesn't take up any more space than what like a MacBook Pro would take up. In the box, there's a back cover that comes with the Brydge keyboard. It's nice, it's fine. It's kind of made out of this like rubberish plastic stuff. I'm not entirely sure of the material. To be honest, I don't like to use it because I have stickers on the back of my iPad. Now, before you leave a comment saying my stickers are ugly, just those are my stickers. They're the ones I like. You can have different stickers or no stickers at all, but personally, I like to, personalize my iPad a little bit. One of the funny things about using this keyboard is I kept reaching down for the trackpad on it. It just feels so much like a laptop, you just assume there would be a trackpad there. Now, in Brydge's defense, I know what you guys are about ready to write. In Brydge's defense, this was designed and produced before iPadOS came out, so they had no idea mouse support was coming to iPadOS. I'd love to see a version of this keyboard in the future with a trackpad though. Key feel is one of those things I always talk about when it comes to keyboards. It's something that's really important to me. I love mechanical keyboards, but mechanical keyboards aren't exactly portable keyboards. The key feel on this is kind of mushy like laptop keyboards typically are. If I had to compare it to a keyboard, I'd compare it to not the current generation line of MacBooks, not those with really small travel and stuff like that, but the one before that, those first like Retina MacBook Pros and stuff like that. It feels like those. So if you like those, this is kind of what that feels like. It's a good combination for the style and what it needs to be. The battery lasts a really long time on it, as long as you don't use the backlighting. So there's backlighting for the keys, which is great. I'm super excited about that. I wish more iPad keyboards had backlighting. But if you use the backlighting, it really hurts the battery. So if you don't use it, that's fine. Your battery will last a while. I really like using it, so I found myself charging it about once a week. There's a USB-C port on the side. It's kind of weird. The USB-C port sits forward a lot. It's not back like where like a normal laptop charging port would be. It's kind of forward. I'm not sure if there's a design issue or that required it to be in that position. It's a really minor complaint. It just feels weird that it's there. But since it uses USB-C, you can actually use your iPad to charge the keyboard. So if you're in the middle of nowhere, you're not near an outlet, or you're stuck at a coffee shop and you got one of those tables that's in the center and not next to a wall with an outlet, you can just take the USB-C cable, the same one you use to charge your iPad Pro, plug it into the side, and plug it into the keyboard. Now this is a Bluetooth keyboard, it doesn't use the Smart Connector, and I'm not really knocking Brydge against that. It doesn't seem like any third parties are using the Smart Connector, and I can't figure out why. I don't know if it's a licensing issue with Apple, or if Apple's just not letting third parties use the Smart Connector anymore. But even Logitech stopped using it. But since it's Bluetooth, it does take a second to wake up. This is kind of unfortunate. Since I'm used to the Smart Connector keyboard, I just, put it in place, start typing, and it's good to go. This one, since it takes a second to wake up, I usually type a word or a half a word before it wakes up, so I have to go back, delete, and still type. I've been using it for a few weeks, like 3 weeks now, and I still haven't gotten used to that. Maybe a little bit more in the future I will. Another small issue I had with it is it goes to sleep after about 10 minutes. So what I was finding is I'd be editing some audio or doing something with the actual part of the touchscreen of the iPad, not typing, not using keyboard shortcuts. I was using the iPad part, and then I'd go to type and it would just be asleep, so I'd have to repair again. It's fast pairing, so it's not the end of the world, but it was one of those things that I wish the sleep timer was 15 or 20 minutes. Function keys. I love function keys on iPads. Oh my gosh. The Brydge Keyboard has a dedicated Siri button. It's funny, anytime there's a keyboard that I use that has a dedicated Siri button, I always go back to using Type to Siri. It's an accessibility setting. But basically I can hit that and just start typing. It means I can use Siri out in public places and not make it awkward where I'm like yelling at my iPad in a coffee shop. Hey, remind me about this thing later, and like everyone's staring at me. No thank you. The key that's in the top left corner, where like on a normal keyboard the escape key would be, is a home button key, which I found really interesting because I kind of was using this as a pseudo escape key. Anytime I wanted to leave an app, I'd hit that instead of hitting Command H. It was just really easy to, move my finger up there, hit that, and go right back to the home screen. And you can double tap that to bring up multitasking. Media keys on the iPad. Oh my gosh, they are amazing. I love media keys on the iPad. As the kids might say, they are dope. The kids probably don't say that because I don't know anything about kids. I really love having media keys on the iPad, and the Brydge Keyboard gives you that. Just standard media keys: play, pause, skip, back, volume up, volume down, but they're so handy and nice to have. There are other things like brightness controls and the ability to see the battery life of the Brydge Keyboard as well. There is a viewing mode for this keyboard as well. You can just take the iPad out and flip it around and put it back in. This way you can kind of view stuff without having to have the keyboard in front of you. I found this to have just enough friction to where I didn't use it often. It's not easy to get the iPad out and back in and make sure everything's lined up, so I just found I wasn't using it that much. I just found the laptop style was fine. If you do use the viewing mode, you can flip it around, and this is a good way of using the Apple Pencil with the Brydge Keyboard. Because the Brydge Keyboard doesn't lay down, or there's not an easy way to just make it lay down, I found that I wasn't using the Apple Pencil as much as I used to for like handwritten notes and stuff, which is kind of a bummer. I really like using the Apple Pencil for that stuff, but typing notes isn't the end of the world. If you're somebody that draws or uses handwritten notes or something a lot, you might not like this when it comes to the Brydge Keyboard, or you might find yourself having to pull it out, flip it around, and put it back in just to write some notes so it lays flat. So I did have an issue with this review unit of the Brydge Keyboard. In fact, it's not even this one, it's the first one I got. The right hinge on the first Brydge Keyboard that I got completely broke. I emailed them, they sent me a new one. It was fine, this one's been great. They did mention a very, very small amount of them have had this issue. Basically what was happening is when I was opening it, it felt really hard to open. And I've never used one of these before, so I thought, okay, maybe that's just the way it is. I didn't think anything of it until it broke. But apparently a small amount of them have this issue. So if you find yours it takes a lot to open it, like it really fights against you to open it, stop, email them, make sure it's okay, because that kind of sucks. It does give me a little bit of worry in the future, like what if I take this thing on a trip and it breaks on the trip? Then I'm out of luck, basically. I'm on a trip without a keyboard for my iPad. I had to spend a day just, using the software keyboard and stuff because I couldn't put the iPad back in the Brydge Keyboard. But like I said, this one's fine. It opens very easily. There's no major issues with this new one they sent me. So what is my go-to keyboard? I get asked this a lot. Right now, it's the Brydge Keyboard. I really like it, even with the minor issues of not being able to use the Apple Pencil very easily with it, and my issue with the hinge. Even that stuff aside, I really like this keyboard. When I had that issue with the hinge, and I didn't have it for a couple of days, because they overnighted me one, but it was a Friday that I emailed them, so I didn't get it till next week, so I really missed this keyboard. Like, I really missed it while it was gone. So since I've had it, I haven't put it down. The only time I've taken it out of this was to film my iPad OS video because it was just easier to film with the Smart Connected keyboard because I could lay it down. But who is this keyboard for? Like I mentioned, if you use the Apple Pencil a lot, if you need to lay your iPad down a lot, or you want some sort of viewing mode where the keyboard's not in the way, this one probably isn't for you. But if you do a lot of writing, a lot of email, a lot of like video editing or whatever, where you need keyboard shortcuts, where you need a good keyboard, this is a great keyboard for that. It's got all the stuff that I could want in an iPad keyboard. So I can't stress enough, if you're a writer or somebody that needs to use a keyboard with the iPad a lot, this is an amazing keyboard to use with your iPad. And it's not just for the iPad Pros either. They have other models for the other iPads as well. I just happen to use an iPad Pro, so that's the one they sent me. I really like this keyboard. Despite the few issues I do have with it, it is my go-to keyboard. It is my primary keyboard. I absolutely love it. I can't give it enough praise. Yeah, there's a few things I would like changed about it, absolutely, but ultimately it's a great keyboard and it's a great device to use. I've been working off my iPad for over 3 years now, and I'm really excited to see this device exist. So I don't normally do this, but I want to tease how I've been using this Brydge keyboard. I want to tease an upcoming video. So I'm just going to put a quick shot in now. Yeah, so that's going to be coming up in a future video. I'm super excited about that, so stay tuned. So that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think about the Brydge keyboard in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.